New details in a shootout with Englewood police, just bringing up more questions. The department is staying silent, even after an affidavit stated that the man who died during the shooting wasn't the man who fired at officers.
Women denied access to abortions and reproductive care are more likely to get critically sick or die. It's a claim backed up by research done here in Colorado.
And an international plane ticket for a marmot. The journey to bring back a hitchhiking critter found more than 1,500 miles away from home. 4 o'clock at 9 News starts now.
One man is under arrest for shooting at Englewood police on Sunday. The man's brother is dead after officers shot back. And we're getting those details from a police report, but Englewood police aren't talking.
Well, 9 News reporter Noel Brennan's been on this story for us today. And Noel, this report does answer some of the questions.
Right, Tom. We know Matthew Mitchell was 22. He was the one who was killed. His older brother, Philip Blankenship, is accused of shooting at police. Blankenship told detectives he acted alone and Mitchell did not shoot at officers. Blankenship told detectives he's been suicidal his whole life and was suicidal on Sunday night. And that is what led police to the house at the corner of Grove and Bellwood. The police report says Blankenship's mom called 911. She said her son was intoxicated, threatening suicide, and had fired a gun inside the house. Englewood police showed up and told Blankenship to come outside. The report says officers heard someone say, quote, "Give me a minute." As an officer was taking cover behind an SUV, the report says Blankenship fired a shot through the living room window and hit a car windshield. The report says another officer started taking fire from inside the house. Then the report says Englewood police fired back and Blankenship came outside. The report says Matthew Mitchell was inside the house and died from a gunshot. Englewood police have not explicitly said that officers shot Mitchell. They haven't told us how many officers fired their guns or whether they knew that Mitchell was inside the house. They won't take our questions, citing the active investigation. Blankenship is facing a charge of attempted murder. Kim and Tom, he's due in court on Friday at 9 o'clock.
More details today, but still so much we really are wondering about and the time frame and how this all came about.
Absolutely. We have the one press release and an update from Englewood police, but beyond that, we haven't had an opportunity to talk to them on camera and for them to take our questions.
Hopefully this week. Thank you, Noel.
An update now on the plane crash in Boulder County 2 weeks ago that left 4 people dead. We now know that 3 of the victims were a family visiting from Louisiana. The plane's 3 passengers were 48-year-old Sandra Kirby, 17-year-old Ian Kirby, and 13-year-old Amanda Kirby. Ian was getting ready for his senior year of high school. He played in the band at school. Amanda was looking forward to joining that band with her brother in 8th grade. And Sandra worked in the biology department at Louisiana State University. The children's uncle, Kelvin Abbott, confirmed their identities in a GoFundMe to help pay for their funerals. We still don't know the identity of their pilot.
The Denver Police Department has arrested 2 of its own officers in a felony theft investigation. The father and son accused of billing for off-duty hours they didn't work. Officers Michael and Santana Pinada began working for a private business in their off-duty hours last October. DPD started its investigation in April after finding out the 2 weren't present for a scheduled off-duty job. Investigators went through the company's surveillance dating back to February, comparing that to timesheets, and they identified 23 shift discrepancies that put together were worth more than $8,000. DPD had placed the 2 on leave a couple of weeks ago. Both were arrested today. It's up to Denver's DA to charge them.
A new study done by CU Boulder concludes that banning abortion would increase maternal mortality by 24%. That's more mothers dying from pregnancy than previously thought. And 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon now explaining how those numbers are even higher for Black women and people of color.
I have 2 living children, but I've been pregnant 6 times.
Preeclampsia is just one complication that makes pregnancy dangerous.
I had preeclampsia with our son. I then experienced 2 miscarriages and an ectopic pregnancy.
Danny Newsom is the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Cobalt, a reproductive health care and rights organization.
Our first daughter was born at 27 weeks to save her life and mine, since my high blood pressure was so very high. And I lived, and our first daughter did not.
Newsom says she was fortunate to have access to health care and was able to be on bed rest when she was pregnant.
In some states right now, where they have outlawed abortion and they don't make any exception for the health or the life of the pregnant person, what does someone do?
A new study by CU Boulder shows banning abortion would increase maternal mortality by 24%, which is about 210 more deaths per year. That number jumps to 39% for Black pregnant people.
Abortion is very safe. Staying pregnant is relatively deadly in the United States. And so more people will die just because of that, without any other changes at all.
Amanda Stevenson is the lead researcher on this study. CU Boulder conducted and provided this interview.
Ending abortion, and therefore forcing everyone to remain pregnant, has a disproportionately high effect on maternal deaths among Black people.
The study shows that in states with already high maternal mortality and moderate to high abortion rates, states like Florida and Georgia, researchers estimate maternal deaths to increase by 29%.
Abortion is legal in Colorado. We are here to support you. And that's something I'd really want people, wherever they are, to know.
Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
In 2021, Cobalt says they spent $6,000 on travel, hotel, food, and child care costs for pregnant people seeking abortion. Well, from June 24th to July 20th of this year, that number increased to more than $57,000 spent by that organization.
Let's take a live look outside from Bow Mountain near Boulder this afternoon. We got some clouds out there, and we're wondering what's happening. I know I've seen some notices about possible hail in places, Danielle.
Oh, we should talk to Danielle.
Yeah, especially if you live around the Erie area, probably best to put the car in the garage. We have this one small but mighty storm cell that is charging to the south and to the east across parts of the Denver metro area, putting down nickel-sized hail. So kind of keep that in mind. I'll be monitoring that cell, but certainly in the distance you can see those darker skies pushing in across much of the Front Range. That's really going to be the name of the game as we go throughout the next couple of hours here as we monitor a good chance for seeing a few of these thunderstorms firing up. It does look like we have a severe thunderstorm warning going in parts of Nebraska, a tornado warning in place for another half hour or so just around the Burlington area and I-70. It does appear that that is radar indicated. And then as I zoom in here to the metro area, you'll notice a few storms beginning to fire off up in the foothills, starting to roll down here to the I-25 corridor. There you can kind of see that cell just now shifting across I-25. Everything tracking off to the south and to the east, so kind of keep that in mind if you're on Arvada. Probably going to start to see the rain here pretty soon. These storms spitting out some pretty gusty winds as well. Everything pretty much east of I-25 we'll be watching out for potentially turning severe. Again, just a marginal threat around I-70, I-76 heading up into Nebraska and parts of Kansas. I mentioned those winds anywhere between about 15 to 25 miles per hour. These gusty outflow winds will be with us throughout the rest of this evening too. Here's the futurecast as we're watching these storms fly by. 6, 7 o'clock, still possibly a few storms, especially into Jeffco and then eastern Adams, Arapahoe County as those storms start to fizzle out and push further off to the south and to the east. Temperatures holding steady in the 80s. Yes, a nice brief break from the 90-degree heat, that's for sure. Upper 80s around Sterling and Ray with some 70s up in the mountains. So tonight I will be tracking the skies, possibly a few more thunderstorms on the horizon. Tomorrow the 90-degree heat is back, but I do have a little cool off coming our way, plus a good chance for rain. I'll detail all that in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, hot summer weather means time to kick off the old football season.
We got
right?
a new opening there, I noticed.
Yes.
Some new people.
Well, you got a two-time MVP plays basketball here. We got that in the
Yeah.
books. The Avs have won the Stanley Cup. The Rockies are right in the midst of the pennant race. So let's talk football. Bronco training camp kicking off today. The Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett era of the Broncos just about to get started out there.
So that's why we're bringing in Broncos insider Mike Kliss. He's in the Kliss Cave at Dove Valley. That's called glamping for him for the next few days. What did you learn on day one, Mike?
Yeah, back in the Kliss Cave after 2 years, this was used for COVID testing for all the Bronco players and coaches. So it's nice that even though COVID is still around, the NFL is no longer in fear of it. But, you know, the first day, guys, they brought out Justin Simmons and Cortland Sutton. And here's a couple players highly accomplished. They've both been to Pro Bowls. Simmons, a couple of all pros. They're both making $15 million plus in their contracts, and neither one of them has ever beaten the Kansas City Chiefs, and neither one has ever been to the playoffs. And from that, because of Russell Wilson primarily, but also Nathaniel Hackett, their goal this year and their expectations this year are not only the playoffs, but to host a home playoff game, which would mean winning the division, which would mean beating the Chiefs. So expectations day one have soared for this team.
It was interesting today to hear Nathaniel Hackett and George Paton talk a little bit about the excitement they felt from the Avalanche and hoping to kind of maybe learn or glean something from another team's success, how they did it, how they went about building a team like that. They both seemed very fascinated with what Joe Sakic and company had done. Yeah,
I think really the parallel is the Broncos need to draft Cale Makar. And
there you go.
I think if they do that, they can take a lot away from the Avs winning the Stanley Cup. But other than that, you know, just about how they were talking about how their players kept each other accountable. You know, all these slogans that championship teams use. What they really took away from it was the excitement of the city.
Yeah.
And this, you know, the city of Denver and the fans just got all behind the Colorado Avalanche, and the Broncos want some of that. The Broncos have had it before as recently as 2015, but a lot of these players on this team haven't had that, and they're a little envious of what the Avs had.
Yeah, like you said about Cortland Sutton and Justin Simmons, you know, leaders on the team who've yet to do these things. Well, we'll get a chance to talk more about what we heard today at day one when they hit the field tomorrow. We talk to you at 5 o'clock. Mike, thanks as always.